Well, Boris Berezovsky, looks like there's some more news on this because, that was the big Russian oligarch tycoon that was highly critical of Vladimir Putin, and he's been living in the UK, and they're trying to get him back into Russia. They say he's guilty of this and guilty of that and all this kind of garbage. But anyway, I got this off of a Turkish Armenian newspaper, because it's not actually in the major media, but he was found with a scarf next to him. Now, they said he had marks around his neck and a broken rib. So, it looks like major foul play. But, CNN, Communist Network News, they say something else. They say that they had a couple, you see, this is where I already figured, this is not like exciting news per se, but I mean, just for anybody has any doubts that this guy committed suicide or was he murdered, he was murdered. He was pissing off Putin and the people on the top, highly critical of him. He was murdered. That's what happened. And but just to show you just how the elite is in cahoots with each other, like CNN, Communist Network News. Now, I watch the major media sometimes, and I know it's a bunch of garbage, but, they had a couple articles out there. They had one that that Boris was very despondent and depressed, and he wanted to go back to Russia, and he felt sorry. That was one article CNN put out. Then they put another article out, how he blew $6 billion. How Boris Berezovsky blew $6 billion. And right there, that told me. But it's always been my theory. I don't know if it's so much of a theory. The East and the West cooperate. It's a big bunch of garbage. And it's like the only paper that actually showed this. It's not really all over the news too much. It's in a Turkish Armenian newspaper that Boris was found with a scarf next to his body and a broken neck, and they also said he had marks around his neck. So they killed him, man. There's no doubt about it. It wasn't no suicide. It's a bunch of bullshit. So that's what's going on. But the thing I'm going to point out is, like, the Western elite and the Russian elite. It's a game. It's a game, man. They're going to, when the financial collapse of the West occurs, they're going to try to introduce communism with a type of a human face. It's going to be a modified type of a communism, totalitarianism, whatever the hell you want to call it. So they're actually both working together. And Putin is like, I don't know, he's part of it somehow. They make it sound like he's some reformer. It's a bunch of bullshit. And I'm going to say this, the number one thing that's a thorn in the elite side, in a real way, is guns, man. Big time. That's something that they're looking to, like, freaking try to fire all the cops that are against the gun control, fire all the sheriffs, cut off their money and stuff like that. That'll be the most logical thing. But, I think a lot of people just got to keep what they got and, get more of it. That's what you got to do. You got to get a lot of supplies, because basically when the shit hits the fan at some point in time, the control freaks aren't going to be in control. They never are. If you look back in the Roman Empire, that doesn't matter who the hell it is, how much power the guy had, how much money he had, how much, how smart he was. They screw up after a while. So, something that's more important than gold and silver and stuff actually is the guns. So I'm kind of bringing this up here at the end because, there's a lot of bullshit stories out there about these drama freaks saying, I think people look for news on YouTube, and it's a little dramatic sometimes, but the East and the West, the leaders on the top, they both work together, It's a little intramural competition, but they both work together. So it looks like, the Western establishment, maybe they wanted Boris Berezovsky out of the way. Maybe they wanted him out of the way too. So, it's a big scam what goes on. Anyway, just, I'm going to tell you this though, like, I wish old Boris contacted me, man. Any of these Russian oligarchs, man, they want to run away from Putin. They ought to go hide out in Indian reservation in western United States. down in the cave somewhere, you know, and put some decor inside of it, and nobody's gonna fuck you up down there, because it's when you get in the areas in the cities where there's a lot of people around, you feel safe. You ain't safe over there, man, not at all. So anyway, I don't know. I don't like Putin, to tell you the truth. I think he's a load of it, big time, big ego to the max. And I don't know. I think he's fooling more the Western people than he's fooling the Russian people. Tell you the truth, I think the Russian people got him figured out pretty much. I think the Western people are the ones that can't figure it out. Western people, man, they're the dumbest ones going, because they've had it good. They don't know how the scams work. But Boris Berezovsky, he was murdered, man, big time, definitely.